Okay, welcome again to Cloud Training for Enthusiasts. Today, Sunday, 21st May 2021. And we are going to do the granular configuration and implementation of BASTION host. And this BASTION host basically is going to be granular because we are going to design, we are not going to use any VPC wizard. We are going to design every aspect of the BASTION host from the scratch. So we are designing it from the scratch. We are making use of AWS. So as I mentioned before, the BASTION host is an adapter that has the capacity to connect to the internet, and through it, other resources connected to private subnet can also link and have updates from the internet. The BASTION host generally is basically used for security of your cloud infrastructure. So whereby the internet, whereby the resources that you want to secure will be in your private subnet, while the connector, the BASTION host, will be attached to the HTTPS, Apache, or NGX for their other internet support. So that's what we're going to do today. So we have our slide, and by God's grace, we're going to start and we're going to round it up. Thank you. Okay. So that being said and done, let's go to our slide. Let's start with our first one. These are the things, the resources that the BASTION host uses. We use internet gateway, a NAT gateway, a private subnet, a public subnet, is Routtable, VPC, networking, and ACT instance. It's like we are preparing food in the cloud, and these are the ingredients that we need to use. These are the resources we need to use in the cloud infrastructure. So we are going to be doing it one after the other. The first instance, I'm going to create a VPC with a public and private subnet. I want to create and configure the BASTION host security group. I want to update the instance security group and create a BASTION host. So this is the procedure. The first procedure I'm going to do, we are going to create a VPC. Then we are going to create a subnet under that VPC. Then we'll create an internet gateway. We'll create a NAT gateway. We will attach the gateway to the respective subnet. I mean, a private subnet to the NAT gateway, while a public subnet to the internet gateway. Then we're going to create a route table. You understand me? Then that route table is where we are going to really define the subnet. Then we're going to create a public subnet, a public, a private with the public subnet with a NAT gateway. Then we'll create, we'll do our security group of the BASTION host. The security group is going to have SSH port 22, HTTP port 80, HTTPS port 443. Then we're going to design the security group for the other LANers. We're going to have port 22 for SSH. Then for my SQL, port 33, RODP, relational data, RODP. Then we will have port 3389. The Oracle, we're going to have port 1521. So after that, they will create our BASTION host on a public subnet. We'll create other machines on the private subnet. They will SSH into the BASTION subnet. From the BASTION host, we'll SSH to other subnet. This is our infrastructure. So there was a little error which I just went to correct. So I mentioned. So we're going to create a routable with internet gateway and a private subnet with a NAT gateway and everything. So let's go straight to our EC2 instance, to our AWS. Then so our AWS. Okay, this is our AWS. So this is our AWS. Then we go to the first point of call is creating a VPC. So let's create our VPC. We'll go to network. We'll go to network. I already have my VPC here, but if you go on that network, you see your VPC here. So let's launch. No, we're not launching the wizard. As I mentioned, we're not going to make use of the wizard. The wizard was what we did last time and it was easy. It's very easy using the wizard. We are being granular about it. This is our class. This is part B. So we are creating a VPC from the scratch. So create VPC. You call this BASTION VPC. Okay, then our starter block, let's use 10.0.0.0/16. Then tenancy, use the same default tenancy. Then BASTION VPC. Take note of it. BASTION VPC. That's the name of the VPC we created. So we've created a VPC. This VPC right now is just a regular VPC. There's nothing special about it. So we need to make it a BASTION host VPC. Then we need, first of all, then we need to create a subnet to it. These are my existing subnets. Create a subnet under that BASTION VPC. Then this is we call it BASTION public. Let's call this one public. Public as subnet. Then let's put it in US. We are making use of not vagina. Then our CIDR block is 10.24 to go. The same BASTION VPC. Take note of this. It's .000 is our public subnet. That's our plan. We are planning to use this, a public subnet. You don't just come to class to start designing something. You just start playing. You have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. So this is the plan we are doing. So we already have an idea of what we want to do. So this is a public, it's not yet a public subnet, but we just titled this public subnet because that's our plan. Let's create another subnet that will be a private subnet. The same VPC. Then we're using the same CIDR block. Let's say BASTION private then we can say subnets. So the first one was this. Take note that the CIDR block must be the same or else it will not rhyme. So the same CIDR block we are using, but just that this one we are using, we are just giving it an increment of 1. You see the same, when I was talking about subnet, you have like 244 CIDR block. So we are using this for this, then let's call this private sub. So we're planning to use this for our private subnet. So now we have our private and public subnet that we already designed. So now let's create this. This is the private, this is the public. Bastion public, Bastion private. So let me rename this so that these are my existing, the former one that I did. It's just for practice. Okay, let me name this well. So I'm just renaming it so that we can separate it from what we have before. Understand me? So I call it B2 pub. So okay, now let's go straight to our private subnet that we created. This is the public subnet that we created. So let's create our route table. Before you can have a route table, you must have a gateway. So because there's no how you can create a route table without a gateway. So it's better you create a gateway first before you create your route table. Okay, let's create an internet gateway. Let's call this Bastion IGW. Then you can also call it IGW. So this is an internet gateway for the Bastion. We are planning to use it. So now let's make this is a Bastion IGW. Let's attach this one to that VPC. No, not let's attach it to the VPC. This VPC. This is the VPC that we designed. Bastion. We have attached it to the VPC. Now let's create. Well, okay, let's do something. I don't want us to get confused. Let's detach it. We're still going to attach it, but I just don't want us to get confused. I want us to get everything sorted out. Because there's no how. Let's get the subnet. Let's go to our subnet. Let's go to our Bastion public. Since we already created an internet gateway. So creating a route table will be easy. I think we should create a route table first. Let's create a route table. And this route table, let's call it Bastion ROT route table, then ROTB. Then the Bastion, this is our stuff. Then, so now let's edit the route. So we're editing the route. That internet gateway we created, we are going to attach it to it. Let's say talk to everyone from anywhere. Let's internet gateway. See, there's no internet gateway to this because we have not attached internet gateway to this VPC. Okay, let's attach the internet gateway to this VPC so that you can see it. Go to route table, go to subnet, internet gateway. With the internet gateway for the one we created now. Let's reattach it. Let's attach it to this VPC, this one. So it has been attached. So now let's go to our route table. And our route table is public. Never forget, since we are already, it's going to be a public Bastion host. Or let's create, this is the route table we just created now. We've not attached it to a subnet. let me create it again so that you will not get confused. Bastion ROTB public. And then we'll attach it to our Bastion. The VPC is the same VPC Bastion. So this is what we are creating. Create this route table. Then if we are editing the route this time, to be easy to edit the route, let's add internet gateway to it. Then the internet gateway, since we already attached an internet gateway to the VPC, you will see it. That was the internet gateway we created. Okay, we have created the Bastion host. We have created an internet, a public Bastion host. You understand me? So let's attach this Bastion host to a subnet. Let's attach it to a subnet. This is the public subnet. It's an internet gateway, so it must be attached to a public subnet. Now we have attached it to a public subnet. Okay, now let's create our private, our NAT gate, our private subnet. With this, we are done with our public subnet. Well, let's create another one for the private subnet. For the private subnet, we need a NAT gateway. Go to NAT gateway. NAT gateway. This NAT gateway, let's create the NAT. Okay, let's say Bastion NAT. We're gonna call it private subnet. Then let's attach it to a subnet. Don't forget, this is our private subnet. So we can attach it to this private subnet. Understand? So this NAT gate is attached to this private subnet. Then no elastic IP. Let's create an elastic IP for it. I've already allocated an elastic IP for it. So right now, we are from where we are now, we have gotten to, we have created a VPC, I've created our subnet, we've created our internet gateway, we've created our NAT gateway, we have attached a NAT gateway respectively. You are attached a gateway respectively, meaning a NAT gateway, we have attached it to a public subnet. I mean internet gateway to public subnet, NAT gateway to our private subnet. Now, what we need to, we have already created an internet gateway with a Routtable internet gateway. We have created our private NAT gateway for a NAT gateway for the private, while the internet gateway for the public. Now, what we need to do now, we need to create the host, the Bastion host. So we are going to create two instances. The first instance is going to carry for SSH. It's going to have a security group of port 22, HTTP port 80, HTTPS port 443, so that it can connect to the internet. This SSH is to enable us to configure it, while the HTTPS is to enable people to access into it from the internet, and HTTP and HTTPS for the internet. While I want to create the other one, I want to prepare it for a database. So you're going to have SSH. We want to have a database port 3306. RODP is also a relational database for port 3389 and Oracle 33. So this is what we are going to do now. This is our next point of call. So let's go. Okay, we are creating our instance. So we'll go to EC2 instance. So let's launch our instance. Okay, I'm going to use the same T2 macro. Then let's go to, okay, it's saying that there's no, we know. Okay, let's use one. The VPC network VPC is Bastion host VPC. The subnet This one is going to be a public, because the Bastion host, it must be in a public. So let's assign IP address to it. And then let's use okay. Okay. So let's add our storage. Our storage is okay. Let's tag this Bastion host instance. VM. Okay. Don't forget I mentioned that I want to create a security group. I want to enable for HTTP. I want to enable HTTPS. And then that's port 80 and port 443. Don't forget port 80 and port 443 for our Bastion host. Okay. Then the AMI is okay. Everything is okay. We're using Linux AMI. Okay, then I already have my key. If you don't have it, download the key there. Okay. Then if you know about the key, there are classes about key, how to create an RSA key or PEM key. If you are using PuTTY, or you are using PuTTY, or you are using Linux. So we have launched our instance. This is our first instance. So this instance is already in the, let's label it Bastion instance. Okay, take note of that. Now let's launch another one. This one we are going to create for a public subnet. This could be any instance. It's not compulsory, but we must, this instance is our secured instance. Must be, so it's already in private subnet, because this private subnet does not have internet gateway to it. So meaning it's not connected to the internet. However, with the help of the NAT gate, it can go to the internet and collect updates, but you cannot enter it to make use of the resources. So except from the VPC. So we already created this. We don't need to assign public IP because it does not need a public IP. Protect. Okay. Because the arrow deep, we don't need this. No, I don't need this. We are just trying. So this will call it this is a regular Niners private. So if you are using it for DB, let's assume we are using it for DB. We'll say DB. I'll get me instance. So name. Then here will be DB instance. Yes, we can add this. We don't want it to be connected to the internet, so we don't need internet gateway to be attached to it. Understand? We don't need internet gateway to be attached to it. But we don't need internet gateway to be attached to it, so we can leave it. I'm also looking at, because we know we may connect it to the internet. Well, because we may need it to, let's just give it port 80 because of the updates that we're planning to do. Although it's not necessary, you don't need to give it port 80. But whether port 80 or either you give it port 80 or not, you cannot access it. You cannot access even port 80 because it does not have internet gateway to it. So that instance is secured because the subnet that the instance is being launched on, that subnet is a private subnet. So now we have our private we have our private, we have our, then let's add another one. Let's call this one, we can decide to put another web app on this. It's still the same BASTION. Now let's put it here. You can create more subnets, but we're creating these 2 subnets for now. You can create more than 2 subnets. You can even create more than 2 BASTION hosts. Understand me? So let's okay. It's going to be a private subnet. Okay, then it's okay. We'll call this name. Let's assume we are installing application instance. Maybe we want to just find any application and just install here, just to give it a name. Then let's also allow the SSH. Okay. Okay. Is an existing okay. Now let's look at our instances. We have the DB instance. We have the EC2, we have the EC2 nanos, we have the BASTION host. Let's look at all our instances and let's label them accordingly. This one is, we plan to use it for application. Then this is DB we created now. And this is our BASTION host. This is the BASTION host we created. This is the BASTION host we created. There's 10 dots. With the BASTION we created. Let's see the parameters. Okay, these are the ports we enabled. The VPC, the subnet is a public subnet. Everything is on point. Okay. Okay, now we are done with what we've succeeded in doing. We have created these 2. Okay, we've not added this, we've not completed this. Let's add this database port to the database instance. So what we do, we just go to same EC2 for the database. Then let's put, which port are we putting? We'll go to security group. This is security group we are using. So we can just, let's edit that security group. Come here, come to security. It's security group. So let's go and add more to it. Let's add more inbound. We only had SSH, so we're adding for RODS. No, let's put the SQL first. SQL and Aurora. Okay, from anywhere. Then let's add Oracle. Let's add Oracle. Oracle RODS. Okay, let's add regular RODS. RODP. So now we've done this. Let's save the rule. The SATA block must the same thing from anywhere, IPv4. So now we have succeeded in doing this. Sorry. So we have created the BASTION host. We have created other liners, just one of them for database. Then this tool is set. So next is now I've created all these things. So now let's SSH, which is the last one. SSH to the host. And we have cooked the food. So now let's see if the food is sweet. It should be sweet. But one thing is for you to know, amazing party. One thing is for you to know. The other thing is for you for it to work. But after you've done it, you've done your best. But you have to work. So that's where your skill have to come in. So that's where your skill have to come in. So this is our BASTION host. This is the one we are connecting to. Because this is the one that have the HTTP and HTTPS security. So this is the one. So try and name your own uniquely. So let's SSH into this. Control. Remember, in our last class, I mentioned that you have to install PuTTY and PuTTY agent. It's called Pagent. In that your Pagent, for you to connect to BASTION host, you had your key, that your key pair. By coming here, you see that your regular key pair, you come here and you just put it here. And when you do, you close it. It's already installed. So anytime you launch an instance using this PuTTY, it will automatically send that key into that instance so that it can give you that authentication. However, there are other ways you can also do it without going through those processes. You can decide not to give it a key, but it's not safe. You can decide to use this password. You can decide to just enter your BASTION host, create an ROSA key, and go and put it in your server, which you are receiving, your receiving server. Then you put the public key inside. I think we're going to do something like that. But I don't think it's going to be in this class. It's going to be next other class. So let's go. Wow. So our food is sweet. Entered successfully. Simon. So we are this is a BASTION host. This is the first signal. So now let's go to our DB. This is our DB instance. Okay. So our DB instance, come here, collect the private IP. Now let's just SSH into it. SSH. Then this, sorry. Yes, it's asking me, we want to add this thing. Wow. So see, very simple. That's how you do your BASTION host. Are you getting me? Now, our main system can connect to other instances. Understand me? I can exit this. Then I can, you see where I have is closed. I'm back to EC2 instance. So if you can look at the IP address, it's different. So I'm back to the real one. This is the BASTION host IP address, which is 10.0.0.51. And the second one is stored in 0.0.1.116. So I have many instances in my log. I can decide to SSH into any of them. So I can decide to SSH into any of them. Now let's SSH into this other application. So just say SSH come in. So everything being equal to work. So to work, then that's how you do it. So for DevOps, what we do in that our main system, we install for DevOps. What we do that our main system, which is our BASTION host, we install our automation application like the Terraform, or we can still also install either Terraform, or we can install Ansible for configuration. Why is it taking longer time? Network. Okay. EC2 instance stopped. Okay. This is 51. Okay, let's say SSH. This is the okay. What's going on? It's taking more than expected. So our EC2 instance is in our private subnets, and so let's just give it some time. So this is how you SSH. Let's take another instance. We have this instance. It's another BASTION host. You can still connect from one BASTION host to the other. You go to a private IP, to still go. SSH. I think I'm having a network issue here. I think I'm having a network issue. I think I'm having a network issue. Okay, ls. pwd, where am I? User directory. So if I'm user directory, okay. So that's just it. This is troubleshooting. Our SSH is already working. SSH, then let's go to the, when you are launching your instance, you have to be very careful. You have to know to collect. So our two main instances that are running, which is the DB instance, which we enable HTTPS for, is working, and the other is also working. Okay, this one has entered. So let's see why the other ones are not working. Let's just look at the security group. Let's look at this first of all. This is TC2 instance. Let's see the security group. Okay, has TCP into 3152 and everything. Okay, let's see the DB. DB instance also have the same port. So so the Linux instance, because they are all in the same subnet. So, well, that is just the class for today. So this is our, let's see what's going on. Network. Okay. Okay. I think the troubleshooting will be for another day. I think we have exhausted the time. But one thing I would think we have established here, I've established that creating two VPC, and creating a public subnet and attach it. Our work is done here, but I would have loved to continue to troubleshoot, but so let's recap our class so that it will be easy for us. Our classes, this is our class for today. What we just succeeded in doing today. First of all, these are the procedures that we did. These are the ingredients that we use in cooking the food. We have internet gateway, a NAT gateway, a private subnet, a public subnet, a Routtable, a networking, which is the skill. You must understand how to network, then EC2. Then we created a private subnet, and we created a VPC, private and public subnet. We create and configure the BASTION host security group. We updated the instance security group. Then we created a BASTION host. The first thing we did was we created the VPC. We created a subnet. We created an internet gateway. Then we created a NAT gateway. Then we attach the NAT gateway to the public subnet, to the private subnet. Then we attach the internet gateway to the public subnet, so that through the public subnet, the NAT gateway will use the elastic IP to navigate to the internet and update. So a NAT gateway does not allow user to it does not allow ingress, but it allows egress. Ingress means something to come in. Because I mean, the internet cannot come into it, but it can go to the internet. That's egress. And then we have attached it and we created our BASTION host. We gave it port 22, port 80, and port 43. Then we created the other nanos, which we gave port 22. We gave database port, which is MySQL port 3306, RODP port 3389, and Oracle port 1152. And we now SSH into it. This is the transfer. So the only thing that is not part of this that we didn't do here is this elastic load balancer, which we are going to do in our next class. Elastic load balancer. We are still going to use the same thing. We're still coming back here. We're still going to create it, because you know why? This is one of the most technical aspects of cloud. So if you can master this, every other thing about cloud becomes so easy. That's why I'm spending time. This is our second time we are having a class on BASTION host. So I'm going to do it again. But this time, I want to make use of the existing infrastructure. It's going to take not going to take time. Then we'll master it and we'll get it done. So once more, it's going to be it was an interesting class. Like I mentioned, these are the use. This is what we did, the block diagram, the one we just did now. So we entered through the BASTION host. From the BASTION, we now SSH to the private subnet, and which worked. And this is what we are going to do in future. After that load balancer, we're going to do load balancer. We're going to make use of CloudFront. We're going to make use of we're going to create a complete web-like. I'm going to put a website, put a database in the private subnet, real life event. Then we're going to also launch many instances. Then we're going to put an Ansible, or let's make some commands of the Ansible in one of the BASTION hosts. Then from the Ansible there and connect to other instances that we are going to DevOps on infrastructure, how to use one system, one instance to other. The reason why it's always good to have your Ansible in your BASTION host is for security's sake. You understand me? It's for security. It's for security because somebody can pick up your system and have full access to all your stuff. But if you are using multi-factor authentication and your BASTION host in the cloud is where your Ansible is, it's more safe, it's more secure. You understand me? It's more secure. So you know that whenever you are in the cloud, you work on cloud and you distribute, you update, you know, you do everything you want to do in the cloud and you come back. Remember, you're not in the cloud, your system is safe. You're no longer afraid of, you know, being hacked into your private system. So it's better you have, if you can have it in the cloud. For now, cloud is more safe than your personal system. You understand? So I'm going to do that, and that's the end of today's class. I just hope that this thing come handy and you enjoyed it. So if you have any question, please ask. Okay, we have how many people do you have in class today? Oh, some people have left. Okay, some will still join. So